The start of the year of 2022 haven't really been the best, from the war in Ukraine that was done by the Russians to the termination of Russia in Hololive, and now there's gaming. Gaming is dying. When I say gaming is dying, I don't mean that the economy of the gaming industry is at an all-time low. No, far from it. The amount of money games make now is quite contrary from an all-time low. To give you an idea of how much money games are making, the gaming industry makes more money than the sports industry and movie industry combined. I've even heard some people say that it's bigger than the movie industry and music industry combined. Now, I don't know how true that last one is, but I wouldn't be surprised. You're probably wondering now, what do I mean by dying in this context? I mean dying as in creatively and artistically. It's not completely dead in these two aspects, but it's getting there. This video will be split up in 3 chapters: NFT, MTX, and P2W. Without further ado, let's get started.
Dosh, it's raining money! Can you give us some money?
What is NFT and what does it stand for? NFTs has sometimes gotten pretty popular as of lately. Apparently NFTs are some sort of a cryptocurrency, though it just looks like a glorified PNG or JPEG. That's because it is on the most simple level. It stands for non-fungible tokens, which is pretty self-explanatory. These drawings can cost up to, get this, 91.8 million US dollars. Not gonna lie, you guys, if you ask me, that sounds like a straight up scam. When you buy an NFT, you're not the owner of the picture. You're just set in the queue with some other people just to say that you own a part of it. At least that's what I think it is. The concept is kind of confusing. What is mind-boggling to me is that there are people who fall for this too. How do you fall for this? Why buy something you can just get for free? Seriously, like anyone can just save a picture on the internet and get it for free that way. But yeah, don't tell that to the NFT sellers, cause they'll lose their shit when they hear that. Though, if you love to troll every now and then, just go for it, you know. It's pretty fun to troll these people. Like I was saying earlier, I don't see why people buy pictures that are barely any variant from the other ones. It's kind of like spending money on porn. Like, why spend money on something you can obtain for free, you know? Just save the picture. You have this streamer called Destiny who made it clear that he despised NFTs and he even called it a scam, only to contradict himself in the span of 1 to 3 days later by promoting it to his viewers. So yeah, some degenerates uses popular people that passed away for promoting their NFTs. Yes, you heard that correctly. They made NFTs out of Etika, a famous Smash Bros YouTuber who took his own life, and George Floyd, who was someone that was choked by the police and passed away from that. This is what that Twitter page looks like.
Floydies are a unique and progressive way to celebrate the monumental life of George Floyd. Attention FLOYDIE fans. The Floydies roadmap is here. This roadmap is brief and only includes the main parts of the roadmap. We'll release more detailed plans soon. Make sure to share this post. The giveaway will end at 12 a.m. Coordinated Universal Time, 11th of January. The auction for the Jewish George Floyd NFT is ending in just 24 hours. This Floydie may be the most significant one of them all, as he was seemingly why OpenSea took our project down. Thinking emoji. Hashtag NFT, hashtag NFTs, hashtag NFT community, hashtag NFT drop, hash NFTart. We have rebuilt him into the perfect being. He is now immortal on the blockchain. He is now an NFT. Hashtag NFT, hashtag NFTs, hashtag NFT community, hashtag NFT drop, hashtag black Twitter, hashtag BLM, hash NFT collector, hashtag NFT collection.
And keep in mind, the sound effects you hear are not sound effects that I added in, so keep that in mind. At the end of the video you can see a link to their site, and I wanted to see if they were just trolling or not, so I googled, and these sites exist. I don't think they're trolling. It looks like an actual business that's going on. So just in case if there's someone in the comments that are gonna say, oh, they're just trolling, yeah, no, that doesn't seem like the case for me, from what I'm seeing. These are people that have websites dedicated to selling NFTs. I can get behind if it was someone doing an offensive joke or, just doing a little trolling, but these are not trolls. Am I surprised by this? Not at all. JStation, another YouTuber, has profited from other people's deaths in his past, including the Etika guy I was just talking about. Etika does not deserve this man. He was very depressed and got pushed up too far by Keemstar to the point where he took his own life, and now more than one person is monetizing off his death. Wait, there was the Joy-Cons, the Etika Joy-Cons. Though they did say that the money would go for charity to help people with mental health problems. So it's not all that bad, but it is definitely in a grey area for sure. Too bad Nintendo shut it down though. Anyway, back to the topic of NFT. Even Ubisoft jumped on the NFT trend. They, of course, jumped on that bandwagon. And when they did that, they got a massive backlash for it, which can still be felt today. From my understanding of it, they wanted to implement NFTs into their games itself in a way similar to purchasable cosmetics on your weapon or character or item, etc. Basically, they're merging NFT into MTX. Can you see why this is so hated now? This brings me to the next topic.
Dosh, it's raining money! Can you give us some money?
What is MTX and what does it stand for? There's this misconception that DLC, in short for downloadable content, is MTX when it's not. Those two are very similar because both involves payments of digital stuff in game. So they're very similar in that, but they have some differences. The definition of MTX is a very small financial transaction conducted online. MTX stands for microtransaction, which is weird because there's no X there. But the word action is often associated with the letter X, or the other way around. I remember, at least in games for the PlayStation, the X button was referred to as the action button, at least in the games that I used to play. The definition of microtransaction is a bit vague, so here's a more clear explanation. It's a business model where users can purchase virtual goods with micropayments. Think of it as mini DLCs. This is why DLCs is not really counted as microtransaction. There are typically two subcategories for microtransaction. There's the light microtransaction and there's the heavy microtransaction. Keep in mind, these aren't official names yet, these are just what I can come up with as names to best describe it right now. So just for now. Light microtransaction would be having to pay for cosmetic items but without the gamble aspect of having loot boxes. Heavy microtransaction would be light microtransaction but with the loot boxes included on top of it. Loot boxes in the most simplest term is in-game gambling, which is something that is unethical in my opinion and in a lot of other people's opinion as well. As a matter of fact, they are trying to make it illegal in the EU for games to have loot boxes. That's how much of a big deal it is right now. Anyways, loot boxes. They contain a lot of cosmetics inside in-game box, which you can unlock by paying real money to get multiple random cosmetics. Games often changes the name loot boxes to something else, very likely as a result of its negative image and also to trick people to buy these. Just to give you an example, no, actually, to give you some examples, like a few. Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Team Fortress 2 are both Valve games that have heavy microtransaction in them. There existed not just one, there existed multiple third-party sites that these two games hosted that had gambling in them as well. But it was shut down after a while by Valve because Valve got pressured from journalists after it was found out that kids could gamble in these sites. This is old news though. There's also the Valve game Pole 2 that it sort of had microtransaction. It didn't have heavy microtransaction. I wouldn't put it in that subcategory obviously, but I wouldn't put it in the light subcategory either. It's more on, I would put it on very light subcategory, the very light microtransaction subcategory. Like I said earlier, typically it would go towards the light one or the heavy one, but in the case of Pole 2, they barely had any cosmetics. They had no loot boxes and there was barely any cosmetics. So yeah, that's why I put it on that category. They pretty much gave up on implementing more for whatever reason. Even today it's still unknown. But you know what? I'm happy that they didn't continue bloating up the game with the cosmetics. That would have made me lose interest in Pole 2. And Pole 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Well, one of them. Not the most favorite game, but one of them. I've seen too many franchises that I've loved turn into a digital cancer tumor, and I just wanted to stop. That some developers will say to try to calm down the negative backlash is that they announced that they're gonna introduce purchasable cosmetics, is that it's not gonna have any gameplay changing effects that could result in pay to win. This brings me to the next topic.
Dosh, it's raining money! Can you give us some money?
What is P2W and what does it stand for? DLC can become P2W, but it isn't necessarily that. Though the chances of DLC becoming P2W is increased dramatically when you make DLC have gameplay changing effects. If you make a DLC that is a clone of a weapon or a fighter of an already existing non-DLC variant, it usually doesn't become P2W unless there are subtle things like the DLC variant of the weapon's view model obscuring less vision, or the hitbox of a fighter being smaller, or having larger hurt boxes. These are a few examples. It doesn't just happen in fighting games though, or in shooter games, but that is typically where this trend happens. P2W stands for pay to win, which 2 is presented as the number 2. Don't ask why. And these gameplay changing effects are typically from DLC fighters in a fighting game, or DLC weapons in shooter games. But DLCs that contains maps only, or DLCs that are free, cannot be P2W, aka pay to win. Even if the developer have good intention or good reputation of balancing, their game can unintentionally end up with a small pay to win issue, but it is very subtle and therefore hard to spot, such as the graffitis in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which are sprays like Counter-Strike Source had, but behind a paywall, plus without the ability to make your own custom version of it, like having a green screen effect for transparent background, making it into a GIF, and having unlimited usage. You heard it correctly, Counter-Strike Source had unlimited usage of sprays, where Counter-Strike Global Offensive not only have to pay for these, but can only use it in a certain amount of time before you have to buy new ones. Just like that. If that isn't greedy, then I don't know what is considered greedy to you. How can something that is just a texture be pay to win, you ask? Usually it wouldn't be, but the 8-ball graffiti ball thing, you can basically use that as a decoy for like a head. So when you use that as a decoy, the enemy mistakes it for one of your teammates' heads, and then they shoot. And when they shoot, not only does it give away their position, but it also gives away what weapon they're using. Custom player models is similar to giving your weapon a skin, but obviously it is a lot bigger, which made some in the Counter-Strike Global Offensive community realize there was some subtle pay to win. Both weapon skins and custom player models in that game are behind a paywall, so there's a possibility. Hold on a minute. You could then argue that weapon skins with camouflage texture have a smaller but still visible advantage than the player model advantages have. Both weapon skins and custom player models in that game are behind a paywall, so there's a possibility. This is why when a developer introduces purchasable cosmetic items and claims that there are no stat changes to alter the gameplay, that it can still end up in a pay-to-win scenario. A solid one, that is. So in other words, microtransaction can introduce pay-to-win accidentally. P2P, which is short for pay-to-progress, is the lesser evil sibling of pay-to-win. But it's like what I said in my previous video. These two are like two turds that your pet have placed on the floor in your house. One smells less worse than the other one, but at the end of the day, they're both turds that needs to be dealt with by throwing them in the trash. I've seen some ridiculous argument and responses people have given in defense for pay to win. Here are a couple of examples of shills trying to justify that business practice.
I'm poor and can't afford a weapon that doesn't even affect my gameplay. Don't want the gun, don't buy it. I can buy it, but that doesn't keep me from playing. It's a good game, and the first game was chock full of buyable weapons. So what are you idiots bitching about? That's how the first game stayed afloat. 1. They never promised that they won't have any DLC weapons. 2. You clearly never played KF1 if you're not used to DLC weapons. 3. Stop being a little baby and don't pay if you don't want. So, we got so many free updates and contents. All these kids crying about the new DLC weapons are pathetic. There are already tons of weapons. I have almost 150 hours in the game and still haven't tried all of them. Also, you don't even need to own the DLC to use the DLC weapons. Only a single player in your lobby. Fuck the person who wrote this review and their short-sightedness. It's worth it. On our fault, you're poor. You're a ridiculous old man. Why don't you take a step back and calm down? Look at it from their perspective. The guns are balanced. I look myself. If you really think this is such a terrible thing, then you ought to share the game. Not to mention, you seem to be really upset about this and played it a whole 11 hours after reviewing. Don't be a baby. Review is literally stupid. Who controls what you do or do not purchase? Can you play the game without buying additional stuff? Yes. Shut up, back. As they've explained, it's either this alongside the same middle of free content updates, or scaling back the free content update considerably since the current revenue stream can't support it. I'm guessing none of the people writing up ever have to make a serious business decision. Their complaints are utterly ridiculous. It's called capitalism. Right or dumb. Stop being a bunch of crybabies. Oh my god. Programmers want to get paid for their work.
As I'm reading these, I'm starting to lose brain cells. I was talking about weapon clone DLC potentially giving a small advantage with very minor stat changes, which could maybe also apply to the sound of a clone up and behind a paywall by making it sound more punchy than its counterpart, the non-DLC counterpart, which could give the player a confidence boost, thus giving you an advantage psychological. Nah, that's probably a stretch. I might be thinking too deeply about that last part of psychological advantage. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and yeah, I'll probably stream this weekend that is coming right now, so look forward to that. Until then, see you guys next time. Bye.